Twitch. What's up, YouTube? It's a new week, Thursday. A little bit of another late start, just because it's a new week. I was having some technical difficulties, but we're back. Hold on, let me refresh this page. I don't know what's going on. There we go. So yeah, this week, kind of a interesting topic, I'd say. Kind of, it's I like to call it the abuse of power and the power of abuse, but more so, I think, Deji, you had the kind of the theme of like when powerful men abuse their power, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So what kind of did that? Anything kind of you come across anything this week that kind of inspired that?
Yeah, the famed, I guess, billionaire financier named Jeffrey Epstein. He was notorious for, getting together powerful groups of men in politics, finance, entertainment, and basically like chartering them to like some secret like island where there was a lot of underage sexual activity going on, like sexual activities with like a lot of underage girls, like very underage. And he had like a right hand woman named Ghislaine Maxwell, who is currently on trial this week for all of that. Her trial started this week. So Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. Let me see. Let me look that up.
Yeah, after he was apprehended in jail. Do you believe that?
I like to believe anytime powerful men commit suicide, their ass got taken out.
Yeah.
So he got killed August 10th, 2019.
Yeah, in his cell, right?
In his cell, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, did they find him? I forget.
The alleged killer or whatever?
No, did they find his body? Like, was he hung? I forget.
Oh, let me see.
Here, I'll pull this up here
The guards found American financier. Oh, Wikipedia's telling me to fund their shit. Fuck off. Unresponsive in his Metropolitan Correctional Center, New York jail cell, where he was awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. So he was just found unresponsive. The medical examiner ruled Epstein's death a suicide by hanging.
Okay.
So why didn't they just specify that? If he was found hanging, I would just say he was just found unresponsive. Sounds fishy to me.
Well, yeah, particularly with the kind of people he was dealing with.
Oh yeah.
Like it's hard to believe that it could be anything else but a hit, because
of course,
he had the lives of many powerful people in his hands. Okay, so on the theme of that, do you find some sort of? I know I take it you saw the Netflix special.
No, actually.
Oh,
I didn't even know there was a Netflix
You should watch
special.
it. Yeah, it's called Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. It goes through all the details of like his whole operation, and it actually poses maybe as Ghislaine was possibly like the mastermind. Not quite the partner, but the mastermind. So, not really sure. Definitely for those watching, check it out. Here it is again on the podcast example. It's on Netflix. It's one season. I guess it's how many episodes? 4 episodes. And it was powerful, man. It was a little difficult to watch, to be honest.
Shit, eh?
Yeah, because it feels like it's like a drama, like a movie, like a suspense thriller, like horror thing, But it's real life. So Okay, I was gonna go into this part a little bit later, but yeah, what's your take on, like how much do you know about the story? Like, how much do you know about what he did? Besides the fact that he
Um,
just chartered rich people to go on his private island and then, charged them to have relations with underage.
well, I've heard that there was like videotapes involved. There was like some blackmail stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, like, it was just the most of the information I got was he was just running this cabal in league with all these other powerful men and his like right hand woman, and
Yeah.
she was very instrumental in like convincing these young girls, hey,
Hmm.
we're gonna blah 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 blah. And yeah, like I never really heard like, now that I think about it, I never really heard too much about like Jeffrey Epstein's day-to-day like actions and stuff like that. You just kind
Yeah.
of hear about him in like a general sense, but
Hmm.
like you do hear about like Ghislaine like doing this and this and this, and like,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know, yeah, that's kind of
Uh,
like,
to spoiler alert, guys, just for anyone who hasn't seen the special. Do you mind, Deji, if I tell you some details
oh
of
yeah, yeah,
from it?
please go ahead.
So apparently he's a smooth talker. Since he
Mm,
kind of got out of school, I don't even know if he finished school, but he kind of like made his way into like the Wall Street environment by like sweet talking his way and like lying. Like he fabricated his resume and he got a sweet job, and then they
mm.
did like um a Ponzi scheme. Is that what it's called? Ponzi scheme, where he and this Wall Street guy made a lot of money off other people's money, which actually no
Okay.
kind of like return. But I think yeah, he was kind of charged for that, or but he got away. He got away with it basically. But he just rubbed elbows with the right people, really networked with high profile people, and he stayed with the financial sector. So yeah, eventually, he develops and he accumulates a tremendous amount of wealth, and he has like mansions and stuff. And I guess Ghislaine is it posed to be his partner. And then yeah, he starts seeing these younger women uh, in the circuit. When it's like a powerful event, or like maybe it's like a gala or something like that. There's these young women brought in as maybe dates, or maybe there's like through networking that they want like modeling jobs. So he kind of like approaches them like, okay, well, there could be an opportunity for you to model, and I can hook you up with the right people. Actually, one of the first women was a painter, and she was a talented painter, but he brought her in all young, all like maybe like 17 younger, and brought her in to like apparently do paintings. But he brings them out to like this desert isolated area where his like home is, like his mansion. And yeah, basically because of his stature, his wealth, he just assumes that these, not, he doesn't assume, I'm pretty sure it's part of like the guys, but he just proceeds as if it's normal. The whole exchange, the whole like solicit, and it's like, all right, well now, and Ghislaine actually was the one who would like approach the girls once they're at their house. So like he'd put them on a jet, right? So this girl, no money, no, nothing kind of working out for her really besides her art. Needs money for school, needs art money for like rent and debt and all that stuff. Gets invited to make some paintings, I guess, or do some exposition at his house. He puts them on a jet. They arrive. They stay for like a week, right? And then Ghislaine approaches them in their bedroom. He's like, "Well, he would like to see you now." And then she's like, "Ah, all right." Goes over to his room, and he's like lying there naked, like on a bed, on like a massage table or whatever. And he's like, he just wants you to give him. She just wants you to give him a massage, and it starts with a massage, right? And then yeah, he just kind of works it a little bit more and more. You're muted now and you're gone, so you're probably working on your food. Anyway, he'll be back. He's just kind of preparing a meal, I guess. Oh, you're muted, bro. Oh, you're...
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No worries.
I'm still here.
Okay. But yeah, that's kind of like his process, where he'd lure girls in with like an opportunity to make wealth, and then sometimes it would just be like, yeah, all you'd have to do is give a massage to an old man, right? And then you'd get paid this ridiculous amount of money that those girls would never make on a regular basis. First thing they do is they go to like the slums, they go to like the poorer side of Florida, and then they would tell them to come across town to this ritzy part of the area. So they automatically think it's like upper class, higher class. It's like, so they're safe. They think they're safe, you know, and then they get offered this much money to do a massage. And then eventually they groom these girls to recruit other girls. Because now that, you know, it's not like some weird man or like older woman, it's someone their same age. They would have to go.
Girls, yeah.
They would go to high school. They're going to high school, and they would like basically approach their own classmates. And he just accumulates this eventually ridiculously long list of just girls who either, if he knows that they can be groomed, or they like they can trap her, then they would hire her to do more of the recruiting. And they would so they have a staff, and they also have like kind of like the one-off victims type of thing too, right? It's disturbing, man. And then there's some footage of like, at least like the air, like it shows the area, it shows pictures maybe of the room, and you know, it goes along with pizza. Did you hear about that other one, like the
Pizzagate or something like that?
Pizzagate. Did you hear about that stuff?
I heard it on a podcast, but I thought it was about pizza.
Well, that's the guys. Apparently, like that they operated out of this really, like, you know, cult favorite pizza place, but in the basement or in the back is where like a lot of the operations kind of like centraled out. And it's similar like that too, but it's like it's more it's gritty. Like they basically sex traffic like young girls. Like poor families would sell their daughters, would sell them, like 8 years old, 6 years old, 10 years old, would sell them to the highest bidder. I'd say so. Mike's saying I'd say Pizzagate was more of a conspiracy theory. Yes, there is no actual, like, you know, like documented. Well, there's a lot of reports, right, and like people's accounts, you know, but to actually get like a paper trail, you know, you don't have like an airline manifest like Epstein had on the airplane, right? He has a list of everyone who was on his airplane. He has a list of everyone who was on the island, right?
Yeah.
But Pizzagate is definitely, you know, he's this guy, this whistleblower guy, was calling out people like Tom Hanks, and definitely a lot of
Tom.
Yeah, dude, like that was the crazy one. And he goes on a couple of those. It was on YouTube too. They might have been taken down by now.
God dang, Tom Hanks.
It was heavy stuff. It's heavier than this, because like the victims were who they'd come out and speak, you know, anonymous kind of a thing, like they would be blacked out or whatever, but they're saying how it's so psychologically like intricate, where they would an example of, I remember one, they would almost drown this girl.
Damn.
Right, so she's drowning, and then the guy drowning her will pull her out in the last second, so she survives, right? So the danger and all that stuff that she associates with this man is negated because this man is the one who saves her. So it's like that whole like captive, like falling in love with your captor. So like she's building like this trust with the same person who put her in the same danger, in danger in the first place. It is crazy. It's fucked up. Mike says, when I looked into Pizzagate, I concluded it was made up. My opinion, though, so I wouldn't tie it to the Epstein, which is like more likely true. Yeah, I don't know, man. I watched a few of those Pizzagate things too, and yeah, it's he said she said type of thing. You know, it's what can like who makes, and it's crazy too. Like, would you just make stuff up like this to just, I don't know. I mean, if guys like Epstein happen, and you know it's a big circuit, you know it's a big like network. Like this thing is international, and it's there's, you know, he was the regard like the upper class echelon, and I'm sure it's even worse when you get even to higher wealth. But there's also like the dirty side, like you'd get from like Taken, you know, the Liam Neeson movie Taken. You seen that?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Mike, I'm not gonna give you proof. That's not up to me. I'm just saying it was your opinion based on what you watched. I watched it too, so it's like you base it on, you know, yeah. But how are you gonna get pictures of like that kind of dark stuff?
Valid
Or
question.
did they even have that? I feel like did he provide?
Wait, so is this Pizzagate thing, is that tied to Jeffrey Epstein, or was that something separate?
I can't necessarily say it's like, you know, they worked in the same network, you know, but it's similar in the sex in the way that it's sex trafficking.
I see.
Epstein has pictures of Prince Andrew stuff. Yeah. Oh man, that's another thing you'll see too. The royalty that was involved, straight up with like Oh man, the he had a prince at his house, who
Wild, yeah.
who then he also like set up with this girl. This girl later on, um, accuses, like steps forward and speaks out, and the prince is like, I don't know, I've never seen this woman before, ever. I've never seen this girl before in my life. But then you see the evidence. There's pictures of them holding each other, like of the prince holding the girl next to him, which is completely opposite to what he said in his testimony.
Yo, that's crazy.
Oh right, the emails. Yeah, so Pizzagate, yeah, it's apparently to Barack Obama and like presidential level people sending like cryptid messages where pizza is like the word, having a party with a pizza, and it was so out of context in these emails that you think it's code for something. It's code for one of these like crazy, you know, sex trafficking party thingies. You should watch the Epstein thing on Netflix. It's only 4 episodes, man. Like, if it's something that you were curious about in terms of Ghislaine, yeah.
Wow. So like, yeah, I guess the reason I wanted to highlight that, I mean, in recent years, there has been a lot of men in power that's been taken out. Men in power that have been abusing their power that have been taken out. Obviously, like
Cosby.
not all of them have been gotten, because I'm sure it happens way more frequently than we know. But I just think it's such an interesting phenomenon, like just how now women have this like voice, and they can really take these people out. It's funny, I was having a conversation yesterday with someone who said, this is gonna sound awful, but who said like the only person that could probably get away with like sexual assault or something is like Drake. And I was like, I don't know about that, man. Like, because even though like you think about even if it was just like an accusation and there wasn't any, you know, proof or whatever, nobody is safe. Like if you get that kind of stain on you, like you're out of here. Like just look at what they're doing to Travis Scott, and he wasn't even like directly involved in that whole concert thing, like directly, you know. I mean, he was, but it wasn't like a he beat that person up type thing, and they still killed him for it, you know. So just imagine, like,
I mean, no, I would say he should take a big part of the responsibility for that, though.
oh
He
no, like,
he hired the company, and he promotes that kind of anarchy behavior at his concerts, and like he tells people to straight up like defy their security and stuff. So it's like he's instigating it on the mic, but then he's like, you know, anyway, that's another take.
Yeah, no, like, and I'm not even like disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is like, Now imagine if Travis was the person like that actually like beat the shit out of that person and killed him,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, as
yeah.
opposed to like him not being like physically directly involved, but they still like they're canceling him right now, you know.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
just imagine like Drake was actually directly involved in some shit like that, he'd be out of here, you know.
Yeah. So why did your friend say that? What's it about Drake where he thinks Drake can get away with it?
I think because like one thing that separated one thing that separates Drake from Travis is Drake's like sociability. Like he is a very social celebrity. He has
Hmm.
the whole acting background, and people just generally like him because he's personable.
Yeah,
Travis Scott, you don't really know anything about him.
yeah.
You
Besides the
just like,
Kylie thing.
besides the Kylie thing, and you like his music, and he's just generally like a mystery and an enigma. So it's easier for someone to get, um, it's easier for someone's character to get assassinated if you don't know anything about their character.
Hmm.
You know, someone like Drake, he would have a lot more, I think, people on his side saying, "Oh, she's making that up." Like he would have a lot more like of those type of people, you know, that would
Yeah,
be on his side saying, "Oh, he didn't
yeah.
do that," blah 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 type thing. So that's where my friend's argument was coming in. But I was like, I don't know, man. Like nobody's safe, and like no one is exempt. Like if you fuck up, they're gonna get you out of here, you know. But I still find this R. Kelly thing super weird, man. Like so many people are still like in love with the guy.
Hmm.
Like are still such huge fans of his, and like I get being a huge fan of like someone's music, but like once the evidence is like there and this person's like in jail, like you got to like read the room. But
Mm.
you will find it's such a common thing for people to like still be like, yeah, I'm still bumping that R. Kelly, whatever, like free R. Kelly,
Mm.
you know. So that's just like that relationship that like powerful men just like have with like the rest of like the world, and then with like vulnerable young women is just a very interesting thing. So like that the trial this week was just like I thought it would be a good starting point for us to kind of touch on that whole like you
Hmm.
know whole thing. So
Do you
yeah,
think, based on what you just said, is it exclusive to men?
no, it isn't, but
It's just easier kind of to tie the narrative to men, right?
it is just because like I mean of like gender, you know, politics and stuff like that, and like the social contract. Like if it was done on the flip side, like you would hear probably the general like a large majority of society would be like, oh, well, he, you know, he probably enjoyed that coming from his
Yeah.
boss or whatever if she was a woman or whatever.
It's
You know what
almost
I mean?
like a thing to brag about than to be ashamed about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and strictly just because of the social construct of like how we view it.
yeah.
Although there have been, certain men. I'm sure there's been many, but I've heard, some who speak up from being sexually assaulted by, you know, like they're saying no, they're rejecting it, but the woman proceeds, and even if the woman is not, you know, bigger or stronger or whatever like that, it's just also coming from power, or
Hmm.
uh, yeah, or like the man fearing, reacting in a way that would be physical to try and maybe stop, and then it would turn back and bite him. Like it would like the story can be
Mm.
turned around, right?
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's even that aspect of it. That aspect of it can exist.
Yeah,
I didn't even take that in.
because then, as you said, anyone can be a target, even if it's just fake. If someone can just say something. So
Yeah.
imagine a guy steps up and then he's like, this woman assaulted me, but
Mm.
somehow he resisted and like whatever. This woman can easily be like, that's ridiculous. How could I possibly? He was the one who assaulted me, and now all of a sudden it's he versus she. He said, she said, and what do you do? Like, there, without proof, what do you
That's
do there, right? It's like,
yo. That's literally happened to one of my best friends.
seriously?
Seriously, like he was talking to this girl, and she was like super into him,
Yeah.
but she was very like crazy.
Yeah.
So she had one of his coats, and he wanted to meet her at this train station, and she, I think she, I don't know if he had her coat or she had his coat. Oh no, she had his coat, right? Because I guess he had been over at her place earlier and had left it there. So she came to meet him at the train station in it, and he was just like, "Hey, can I have my coat? Like, I just want to make sure we end this amicably." They were there to like have a discussion about it ending, but then she was like, "No, aren't you gonna invite me inside your car? It's like cold. Like I want to talk properly. Like blah 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 blah."
Okay.
Yo, once she got inside his car and they started talking, she started going off on him, and then he was like, please get out of the car. Please
Yeah.
leave the car. Please
Yeah.
get out.
Yeah.
Like I just want, like, just keep the coat. Like just please get out of the car so I can just go, because this
Yeah.
is not working out. She
Yeah.
wouldn't get out. He got out of his side, opened the door, and was like, please, please get out of the car. And then he's like, this is where I fucked up. I like just like put my hand like and just like try to like just gesture her to move out, and then that's when she freaked out, started yelling, called the police on him, said, yo, he put his hands on me, blah blah blah. Yo, they took him to jail.
Ah, jeez.
They took him to jail, son. And then
So,
like
okay, so yeah, how do you
and
keep?
then
Yeah,
I
go on.
think I think uh I think he like gave a statement or whatever, but yeah, he was able to get out. But
Uh
yeah,
huh.
man, this was in the UK, so their like laws are different over there. But
But
yeah,
I
bro.
mean, I'm assuming they got statements from both,
Yep.
and they had to like.
And then she started sending DMs to all of his family saying he was a physical abuser. That
Holy.
she had heard stories of other girls doing it, and she hoped he isn't able to hurt any other women.
Okay,
Bro,
okay. Dej, I don't know this guy, and you don't obviously have to say, but like at this point, the lengths of which this woman is going. I know he's your boy. Do you start to doubt? Do you start to question? Could she be legit? Do you start to have any thoughts like that?
I am biased because I have the experience of knowing this guy for over
Yeah.
a decade, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
An outsider hearing this, they don't have that context. That's why that's so
Yeah.
dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, like they could just hear this from this girl, and it's like his character is like ruined regardless, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the flip side of that like also happens.
Mm.
It's like people, dudes do horrible shit and just get away with it because no one believes the victim, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just that whole thing is just a mess, you know?
How do you think? Okay, this makes me think more into the line like the abuse of power part, right? Because obviously, let's take it out of the context of the Epstein summary for now, like narrative for now.
Hold that thought for 7 seconds. I'm just gonna turn off my my heater.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, there's this power now that women have in this scenario, in this specific scenario. This, it's
Seven.
not, huh?
7. I said 7 seconds.
Oh, I was just talking to the viewers,
Oh.
to our lovely viewers here. But like, there's a power now that women have in this specific scenario. It's almost like that other one. Remember the guy walking in the Central Park, New York? Who was looking at birds.
No, I didn't hear
And
about that.
okay, so there's this black man. This is more of a, yeah, here we go. This black man, I don't remember his name. He's at Central Park looking at birds. Okay?
Okay.
You're supposed to have your dog on a leash. This woman, this
Oh.
white woman, has her dog not on a leash and is running around barking up whatever. He's bird watching, right? So he's like, obviously it's kind of disruptive. And apparently, he kindly requests, "Hey, could you please have your dog on a leash?" And then she's like refusing. "Nah, he's fine. It's fine." But he's like, "Well, you're supposed to have your dog on a leash." And then like he comes down and he gestures like for the dog to come to him to calm the dog down, and he's just petting the dog. But then now he's made contact with the dog or something like that, and then she's like, if you don't stop harassing me, the girl's just turning it around. If you don't stop harassing me, I'm gonna call the police. Calls the police, right? And reports, yes, this black man is harassing me here at the park, whatever. Obviously, cops. Huh?
Is she holding on to the dog while she's on the phone? Is this the same one?
I don't know if she's holding on to the dog. I don't know I don't remember the full details if at this point she has the dog, but the whole point was that he wasn't on a leash, right?
Huh.
But anyway, she doesn't get away with it. Like, the story gets like definitely told. He tells his side. It definitely lines up, and like it comes out. The truth comes out that she basically specifically just mentioned a black male is harassing her, so that the cops would react. And this is more so, you know, a white versus black racial thing with systemic of like, you're gonna team up with her, the white woman, right? But even if it was white versus white, black versus black, I'm just gonna say there's this dynamic though of the woman victim and the man, and in this scenario at least primarily you automatically have to believe the accuser, right? Like, or the person calling for help.
Yeah.
But in the example you gave, you know your boy. I hope, you know, for his sake too. Like, I wanted that he is. The only reason why I have doubt is I don't know either of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just I have to measure.
Yeah.
Like, how far is this woman going just to fuck up this guy's life? Like, what? Like, you know, like, how, if she was so into him and whatever, like, what turned her to just be nuts, to just totally throw him under the bus when she was rejected? It's like, is she really crazy? Is she really insane? You know?
Well, I mean, there is the argument that people that engage in this sort of behavior are mentally unstable. I don't think Jeffrey Epstein's head was on straight. I don't think Ghislaine Maxwell's head is on straight. Like, all of these people, I mean, everyone has a general thing, like, it has a general, like, offness about them mentally. Like, we all strive to be, like, have good mental health. But, I mean, we all, like, have our own issues. Some people have way more issues than other people, you know? Like, that's not a thing we can ignore. So, yeah, they're, I mean, yeah, they're mentally unstable.
Okay, so you would attribute that kind of behavior to something not being right up there
on some level,
and then the Epstein thing, and then Bill Cosby, and maybe Michael Jackson. Apparently, certain you know what I'm saying though, like all these people being accused up in power. R. Kelly, you know, Tiger Woods.
What did Dave Chappelle say? I'm gonna put my money on he probably did that shit for
on R. Kelly. Yeah. Well, you can't. I mean, there's like tapes and stuff. Like he fully admitted it too. He said, like, I don't love. What did he say? It's I don't love underage women. I love all women. I think that was like the line that he said, as opposed to like for him to say, like, it's not that he's discriminatory or he's like trying to be a pedophile or
that's
whatever.
What he said.
It's just that this is what he did. This is what he is. Yeah. And in his mind, that's how he carries himself, and apparently that's his, like,
he's not okay.
Well, okay. Yeah. And you say women of power. Okay, do you remember the Kobe story too?
Yes. I do.
Can you refresh my memory on that? That wasn't a sexual assault, was it?
So I believe he was accused of sexual assault
by the prostitute.
By the prostitute, yes. And she said, like, he invited her to the hotel, and she, I think, said no, and then he, like, got rough with her or whatever. And then he in court was like, you know, I didn't do anything. Like, he didn't, like, he admitted to, like, being with her or whatever, but he's like, yo, anything that happened, like, I didn't force anything, I didn't do nothing, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, so, I mean, the first, like, frontline thing is now he's being accused by someone he had relations with. Let's just completely, you know, kind of move aside the fact that she was a prostitute, because that also obviously brings the other part of his life in, like his marriage, like cheating on his wife or whatever like that, right? This kind of behavior, because they were already married, right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So at this point, so yeah, is it how was it settled? Was it just another he said she said thing? Do you think he probably paid her off? Probably.
I don't know. Like,
Was the case dropped? I should look
I
that
think
up.
he was acquitted or something, or he's found innocent.
Kobe case.
Yeah, look that up. But what was
Civil
your what was the
case.
original
The
question?
accuser filed a civil lawsuit against Bryant. The two parties settled the lawsuit. Okay, they settled.
Well, he settled.
They were not disclosed to the public. Okay, so that means, yeah, they came to an agreement, which obviously involved money. He has a
Wait,
lot, and she was
settle
cool. Yeah.
settlement is that like an my suit? This is all I know from Suits. Like, settlement isn't like necessarily like an admission of like wrongdoing. It's just to kind of like stop all the shit.
Yeah, it's so you drop the charges, you take it out of court, you make an
Yeah.
agreement that you won't like pursue or further pursue the charges,
Huh.
and it's usually there's money involved. Like any person who's accused, even if it's a company, if it's like a corporate lawsuit or something like that, like those crazy lawsuits with like, McDonald's with the, I don't know actually if McDonald's, the coffee one. Maybe the coffee one
Where
with McDonald's.
the lady was that? Yeah, was that the Tim Hortons or McDonald's? Where the lady spilled it on herself and then she
Yeah,
sued them?
yeah, and she made like millions off that, and I think maybe in that scenario, McDonald's actually lost the case, but many times like there's other lawsuits with like recalls on like food, or there was a lawsuit recently about like bread. There was something with bread, but instead of admitting to the guilt or whatever, the prosecutors just end up, yeah, proposing some sort of settlement deal that's gonna have some kind of monetary reward for the victims, and then the company kind of is set free. And that's what this sounds like with Kobe. It was a settlement. I think, man, at this point, you gotta judge Kobe's character.
Yeah.
He's already with the prostitute, so yeah, I guess you're looking at the scenario, and maybe this woman saw an opportunity and tried to get more money from him, and she did. And I guess he learned his lesson never to approach another prostitute after that. But would you say that there's any kind of abusive, like, is there a power abuse thing here in that story with Kobe? It's not the same as a Me Too movement, right? Or is it?
I mean, like that situation, I think, is a little different because it was like an isolated incident. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't like
It's not like a lineup of people.
pattern,
Yeah.
like a pattern. Yeah, and she was the only one, the only accuser.
Mhm.
As far as abuse of power, I don't know, because it's like, I don't know if that's abuse of power or just like assault.
Well, if there was assault at all, because at this point it was just an accusation.
Yeah,
He denies
that's
it.
what
He never admitted to it, so we're gonna have to believe that it didn't actually happen, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I you're right. It's an isolated incident. There's no like pattern of behavior. There's no like history prior to that. But let's look at what was the other? Oh, Tiger Woods, another athlete, right? With the big lineup of women who say that. But again, this wasn't assault. He just had
cheating.
relations with a ton of women who he said he was like committed to, but he wasn't actually committed to any of them. But they were all there. They were all there by choice. Like they were all,
That shit is funny, yo. Like, I heard so many people, like, cause they had, I think the girl that came out put out the voicemail of him telling her like not to say anything, and then people were like laughing so hard at Tiger because like he just gives his whole shit away like within the first 5 seconds of the voicemail. He's like, "Hey,
He doesn't know.
this is Tiger Woods. Hey, this is Tiger. They're coming for me. Don't say shit." But yeah, that situation is different because like that's just that was like strictly infidelity. I
Yeah.
don't think he was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, do this or like I'll like ruin your life," or and all the women
Yeah.
were like of age and shit.
All
So
all the yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Big one there too. They're all of age. They're all there by choice, and he didn't like lie. Well, in the sense of like, he didn't like solicit money for this kind of exchange or whatever, which isn't even the same kind of context as Me Too. So Me Too is strictly, as you said, Epstein, Cosby,
what's his name? They got
R.
what's his
Kelly,
name out of here? Kevin Spacey.
Spacey too. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they got Kevin Spacey out of here. Oh, what's this dude's name? Fuck, I lost it.
Even the Katie Couric thing, right? Like the. Did you watch the Katie Couric?
Aziz Ansari. They almost got him.
Aziz too.
Yeah, you don't remember that? The
I
comedian?
remember they Louis C.K. What did Aziz do?
Aziz invited a girl over to his house, and I believe they began like engaging in like she began engaging in fellatio or something.
Oh, I got it now. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And
Yeah.
something happened after that where she said after that she wanted to stop and he like forced himself on her.
Right.
But yeah, I don't.
Well, yeah, like she did go up to his room. He asked her to. She didn't really want to, but he asked her to.
Yeah,
And then
something like that.
there's this like when it becomes like a fine line of like,
Yeah,
okay, is it an obligation now or is this force? Like, is he abusing his power now of like his stature, where
Yeah.
she felt fear for her life and safety by not
doing
accepting, right? But did she resist? Did she show him any kind of resistance? The issue is like when you're in that scenario, like two people about to, what maybe one person understands is going to be a sexual exchange, and the other person is already at the brink of their limit, right? Like, let's say you have a nice hot date, first date, second date, whatever, and then you go back to your place. Maybe one of them only wants to make out, but the other one has something else in mind and thinks that the making out is just a part of the process to get to the, to score.
Yeah, and if we're gonna paint a general paintbrush, that's usually
Yeah.
the guy versus
Usually the
girl.
guy is after more, and the girl might be on the brink of her limit. So then you get to the point where maybe clothes start coming off, right? And then there's discomfort. And this man might not give up right away. Now, is that like...
And there's plenty of evidence that
Dude.
that happens.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not even, maybe there's not even a clear no yet, too. It's just apprehension. The statement of like, you see it in movies too, I guess, when they're like, maybe we shouldn't do this,
Yeah,
But then he's like, what do you mean? Like, I thought we were having a good time. And you get, this whole script that you see in movies that leads to something, and it's like, and then let's say they take part. Like, they give in, they take part. And it's and this is about mental fortitude too, because even though they do take part, it doesn't mean that it was, in their minds, it doesn't mean it was consensual. And that's the fine line that I think is like, how do you deal with that? Like, how do you actually address that? You're gonna have alpha males versus like maybe not some alpha males and stuff who may be a little bit more empathetic and be able to read the other person a little bit better, where this stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a culture, at least back then, of like, hey, it's a no isn't necessarily a no type thing,
Yeah.
and that led to a lot of a lot of scenarios where unwanted sexual activity could happen, like
Mm-hmm.
like non-consensual sexual activity could happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I think nowadays you gotta be really, really aware of what's going on with who you're with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Regardless of like if you've known them for however many years, if you've known them for a month, a week, if you're meeting them that night, like nowadays nobody can afford mixed signals.
Yeah.
Like,
Everything has to be kind of laid out and like, all right, we got to talk
yo.
about this just so we make sure we're on the same page, you know?
So I think like it's the same thing with just like generally dating now. Like the dating game is a lot more complex. Like with the whole online thing and the real life thing and like just people's preferences now, like you gotta really be aware of what's going on. So same thing happens when you're getting intimate with somebody. Like, is this consensual now? Is it going to be consensual in 5 minutes? Does it feel consensual now? Maybe I should ask if it's still consensual.
Right. So
Did that
there's
feel
a there
consensual to you after the fact?
so
It's
you're
just like,
saying this is what practice should be now. This should be protocol, that this
bro.
kind of question should be asked every step, maybe
Yeah.
every 3 steps.
Now, um, like some girls aren't into that.
Yeah.
Like, like some women, they want a dude that is, I don't know, like more, for lack of a better term, more aggressive or,
Yeah. No,
more like,
yeah.
um,
It's
what's the term I'm looking for?
and it's not faux pas anymore. It's like it's common. It's common for
Yep.
a lot of women to be into this sub dom kind of world, right?
Yeah.
And
So,
then there you go. There's that other line. But again, I guess you have to have that conversation. But then at that point, does it
take away from the
it
experience or
takes
whatever.
away from the experience, right? The authenticity of that experience.
Hey, that's the lesser of two evils,
Yeah,
as far
I
as I'm
guess so. Yeah,
concerned.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So like, bro, everybody's just be safe though.
Yeah,
Everyone's
yeah.
gotta be safe, man.
Well, like, even the whole world of like BDSM, sadism, masochism, right? Like that, in that sense, where actual physical harm is involved, right?
Yeah.
Like 50 Shades of Grey, that whole thing. They needed a contract. Like she needed to sign, and like all, and that stuff does exist, and it's just being a little bit more like the world is just, I guess, more socially accepting of it now because it's becoming more public. People are talking about it on Reddit and vlogs, and like openly talking about it on Twitter and their Instagrams about this kind of behavior.
Yeah.
So it's more socially acceptable.
Yeah. Huh.
But do you think there's something wrong up here? Like you were saying, okay, let's take, okay, you mentioned earlier about like, you know, something's wrong up there when it's like you have a powerful man wanting to take advantage of a perceived weaker woman or young girl.
Okay.
So if it's let's remove the young girl. It's just a woman. A man who has the desire to dominate. Let's use the word dominate. A woman. Is there something wrong up there?
Who has just a man who has the desire to dominate a woman?
Yeah. Because we were looking
I
at,
mean, like,
Epstein. Something's wrong up there. But is the wrong part because they were underage? Is that the wrong part, or is it the other part of like, you know, using his? Well, he lied to them. Obviously, it wasn't consensual. It wasn't openly communicated. It was like it was posed to be something of a money making career opportunity. All of a sudden, physical, sexual exchange is thrown upon them, and they don't know how to react on the moment. So yes, that's clearly wrong. That's not communicated. Yeah.
wait, so what was your original question? Is something wrong because he has a desire to dominate women up here,
Yeah, I
basically?
was trying. I was trying
Uh,
for you to define at what line was Epstein's mind something wrong. Something's wrong up there. At what line is R. Kelly's mind something's wrong up there? You know.
I think anytime you use your bountiful and anytime you use your your wealth or your power to manipulate someone and
Okay.
through that manipulation get them to do something that is immoral, yeah, like that's just, I think that's the definition there
Okay.
of like where the mental, you know,
I
the
would
mental
say
instability comes.
the only word I would change from what you just said was from immoral. I would switch it to involuntary, where like they are not willing, they're unwilling. Because morality is very subjective. You know, some people might think something's immoral where others don't. Right. So
Uh, okay. I think we have to separate those two terms. The what'd you say? Moral versus involuntary.
involuntary. Yeah.
Because if it's involuntary, that's automatically there's something mentally unstable with you. I think you're asking like, what's that line, right? If that makes sense.
Maybe
Because if you're,
involuntary was the wrong word too. I just meant like
yeah, yeah,
involuntary makes it seem like it's out of my control. Sorry, that's not what I mean. That's the wrong word. What I meant was unwilling. Unwilling. Where like you use the word manipulation. That's huge already because the truth is hidden. The truth is disguised.
yeah,
And the second part is the victim is does not want to take part. There's obviously like rejection, like resistance to the action. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas
yeah.
like you take on the date scenario where two guys or two people, a man and a woman go on a date and they're both kind of into each other and they get back to the place and stuff starts to go down, but the woman's line is drawn sooner than the man.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no manipulation here. At this point it's like you're just at different pages. You're just not seeing eye to eye, but
Okay.
it's not been drawn. It's not clear. So I mean, yeah, obviously I wouldn't count that scenario as like,
Yeah, that's like,
is that assault? It ends up being assault, but does he know? Like, does the guy actually know he's committing it?
yeah, that's one of the gray areas. I mean, I think with your earlier question, like where we would say, oh, okay, like something is mentally unstable with this person is when it becomes that unwilling, immoral, like that, like the thing that is both of them, you know,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
mm.
Uh, yeah, yeah, but I think anyone that wants to manipulate anyone else, like, okay, this is the thing, like there's different levels of manipulation, right? Because parents manipulate their kids all day.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like,
right.
yo,
Yeah,
give me your give me that remote, even though it's like right there, or like they'll just like tell their kids a story so they do this thing, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
like human beings
There's always
manipulate
like
you.
some sort of trade-off of like, oh, if you don't do
Mhm.
that, then you won't get, you'll be
Exactly.
grounded or whatever.
So that's human nature. I think where it like now transcends that and becomes like something else. Like, okay, this person is unstable is when like that immorality and unwillingness come into play. You know?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
The reason why I wanted to call it like the power of abuse, sorry, the abuse of power is the first part, right? You have an individual who has the power to now actively and like willfully, knowingly manipulate someone. Like they want to like they made the choice, I'm going to manipulate this person. And it happens. And now there's the victim. And then I wanted to say the power of abuse, because the abuse has already taken place, but there is this like further manipulation that keeps that victim there. Just like those women in Epstein's stories who come back, who feel like they can't leave. The abuse has already taken place, but like, yeah, they can't escape. Yeah,
that's like that whole what is it, elephant and branch story or whatever. Like they tie a baby elephant to like a branch.
Okay.
When it's like little.
Yeah.
And it can't move from the branch, but
right.
because that mentality has been stuck in it like since it was an infant, like even when it's huge and it's this big ass powerful monster that can rip that thing to shreds, it'll still just stay there.
Really?
Like,
oh,
yeah,
I've never heard of that, but that's interesting.
So it's like, I think there's parallels within that. Like, yeah, you just what is it, Stockholm syndrome? You just fall in love with your love with your
captor. Yeah. Dude, there was another, since you mentioned that elephant one, there was this experiment where there's a waiting room, and there's 10 people, and this new person comes in so the original 10 people are in on it, and this new person comes in and sits down on the seat, and then a beep goes off. So when the beep goes off, everybody stands up, right? And she's like, what the? And they're like, well, aren't you gonna stand up? And they kind of like condition this girl to stand up. They don't know why. She doesn't like why. I'm like, well, you're supposed to. That's all you know. So then she stands up with the group, beep goes off, everyone sits down. Beep goes on, whatever. It happens for an amount of time. Another person comes in. Now there's 2, and each person, that new person comes in, the original 10 gets reduced as well. So now there's 8 in on it, and there's 2. But now this behavior is adopted now. Every time the beep goes on, people stand up. To the point where after the 8th person is gone, now all the 10 people are now innocent. No one's in on it. But that beep goes off, they all stand up, and they all do the same thing because, yeah, it's groupthink or whatever, like conditioned, right? Even though you don't know why you're doing it, it doesn't actually serve a purpose. No one dares challenge the room. And yeah, at this point, they're just continuing without even knowing why. So that was another.
I wonder what that. Do you know there's people that know exactly why that's happening. There's people out there in the world that have the secret recipe for how that is happening in human brains, and they all work at big social media companies, fucking Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, they all have that recipe because like that's a very like human thing that like control and influence. It's so funny because in what was it, the first Avengers movie, Loki, right? You seen it, right?
Yeah.
Loki, he comes to Earth and he makes this big speech when he's about to take over everyone. He's like, human beings, I'm here to free you from the shackles of your illusion. And that illusion is freedom. You guys think you want to be free, but what you really crave is subjugation.
Right.
So I'm here to give you what you want. And oftentimes you find like so many people would trade their freedoms for security. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So that's a very interesting.
That's basically what happens when you click the I accept the terms and conditions on everything that you're signing up for Facebook, for WhatsApp, for all social media, man. Once you click that box and you click I acknowledge or submit, confirm,
that's it.
You just gave up a little bit of your freedom for that convenience.
Yeah, so I wonder if that's like I don't know if you remember that whole like spiel I went on about like those, about how like these supreme higher power beings, like they created consciousness and like gave it to mankind, and like that's why they're allowed to like manipulate human beings, whereas human beings aren't really allowed to like manipulate others. But yeah, that's a very like big human element that's been noticed throughout history. Like people in power influence masses. That's how, you know, I guess like Hitler was able to just do what he did with Germany, because he just convinced everyone with his influence. You know, that's real power. You know, it's like people think it's money, but it's really influence. You know.
Well, okay, let's look at, okay, yeah, because didn't necessarily come from like some stature or some status, no. Right? It was just, I guess he was like the alpha of alpha, you know, like he just was that strong charisma. Yeah, charisma, and like or he convinced people that he was right.
Yeah.
Would you call that manipulation? Because he believed it.
Yeah, because he was wrong as fuck.
He was wrong, but he believed it.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's allowed to there is. I think for the most part, there's like an objective truth that most people can agree with, and then there's like relative truths.
Yeah.
The objective truth is he was wrong as hell. So like, I think we can say, regardless of him believing it, he was still manipulating other people.
Yeah. Know? But I mean, look at any war though, man. Like both sides. Like there's always like, the side you're on is the hero side. The side you're on is the one you believe in, or you'd like to think that you'd believe in. You know, I don't know about in World War I or World War II, where people were fighting for countries that they didn't want to fight for. I wonder, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's goes back to like what I mean about like relative truths, because like you look at two sides of any conflict, somebody on either side always has like something you can rationalize with, like, okay, I guess I get why you're mad at this other person. Once you start gathering men, women, and children and putting them in gas chambers to die, you gotta go.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You can't make any excuses. Like,
and like anyone that allied with that is like, yeah, anyone who allied, like I'm looking at the other countries, right? Like that Germany end up allied with. So Japan, you got to think Japan. You know, where we think of Japan, you're in awe of just the ingenuity of like the genius of Japan, but they allied with Germany. Huh? You know, how did that even? Anyway, I don't know how that came to play. Maybe? Enemy of my enemy. Yeah.
Yeah, because when was Pearl Harbor? Pearl Harbor was after the.
Pearl Harbor was before Hiroshima, right? I think. No, it was the same. It was 19. It was part of World War II.
Yeah. Pearl Harbor was before Hiroshima, so.
Yeah.
That was.
So Japan attacked the United States.
But that was during Nazi Germany, though, right? The height.
During Nazi Germany, yeah. Near the end of World War II. Yeah.
And then America said, "Oh, I'm pussy."
Yeah.
And then literally,
And then they say that atomic bomb ended World War II, but like there's other factors, obviously, when you know Britain and like Russia finally kind of like stormed into Germany. Like they didn't have anything left, so it's like that happened around the same time too. It wasn't just the atomic bomb, but okay. I was sending you a bunch of Dune stuff lately.
Oh yeah, I gotta.
Those were dope. You definitely have to watch those two things I sent you. So I know you're a big fan of Dune, right? Did you know you didn't know it from before, right? You just thought the movie was really good. You saw it IMAX, right? You said that.
Yeah, I did.
I want to see it in IMAX again.
Okay.
I didn't see it in IMAX, but I would like to see it again, and I'd want to watch it in IMAX.
That's why I didn't watch it with you guys.
No, that's good.
Like the first time I take this in, it's got to be, yo, that shit was so good. Like I just literally kept laughing in the first 15 minutes at how ridiculously good it was.
Yeah.
I was just like, what am I looking at right now? This is crazy.
Man, when you watch, so that first video I sent you is just like It's kind of like a compilation of like some really beautiful art pieces. But the
Okay.
second link I sent you is an analysis of just the scene where his hand's in the box. Being and like the guy chopping it up is the director, Denis Villeneuve.
Shit.
It's really good, man. Just how much detail went into that scene of his hand in the box. It's so sick. Anyway,
Damn.
did you
Yeah, that's
realize like you didn't know about Dune? What's up, Tom? You didn't know about Dune prior to it, right?
No.
The original
I
movie,
thought it was actually. I
1980.
thought it was
Yeah.
actually like from a game, like a game adaptation. But I think I was thinking of Doom.
Yeah, same here, dude. I thought it was Doom.
I was thinking of Doom.
I was thinking like, okay, this is a little different. And then yeah, no, I found out it's Dune, which is a book. And there was a movie
2000?
back in 1984. What's up? What's up?
Dune
Or so
2000?
Yeah, the new Dune, man. So, did you know that in this universe, the Dune universe or realm, they abolished artificial intelligence? Like they're so
Okay.
advanced, right? They're so advanced, like their technology is so advanced. But if you notice, there's no digital computer. There are no computers.
It's kind of like ancient and like modern.
Yeah,
Is
a
this-
mixture of ancient and modern. So apparently, it's they saw AI where humanity did build up AI to a point where it just led to war, and
Yeah,
so
it's
they
just
realized that
racist.
they needed to rid the universe of artificial intelligence so that the human spirit could take over, like the power of the true human spirit would govern the world or like the
Interesting.
universe. That's a really cool concept, I thought. And when I look back, I'm like, no wonder, like I don't get those manual controls in the ships, like
Yeah.
all the flips and switches and stuff. I'm like, why? Like you're so advanced, you know?
Yeah. That's interesting though, but I mean, I think we should do the same thing. I don't really fucking with all this AI stuff.
Really? You
But
think
I
it's the same?
mean-
Wow, that's.
It just gives me weird uncanny valley vibes, bro. Like,
Oh, did you see the link that Warren sent today?
nah, what is that?
It was a robot, but the basically had human gestures on its face, like emotion. It could convey different emotions on the face now. It was messed up. Like it made me uncomfortable.
It gave you that weird feeling, right? Right here?
Yeah, it was basically Uncanny Valley, man. Like it was
nah,
that.
B. Bro, like, yo, there's a lot of like VR shit now that I'm seeing on Instagram with people like manipulating their faces. Dog, that shit freaks me out, yo.
Yeah.
There's people like morphing their faces into animals and shit. It's you'll just scroll and you'll just see a guy talking and be like, "Hey, I wonder what this filter does," and his whole face will start melting and turn into a horse.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, why does this exist, bro? This is freaking me out, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh my god.
we went off on a little bit of a tangent there. Tom, today our subject was the abuse of power and the power of abuse. And our first kind of lines of conversation were Epstein, R. Kelly. We touched on Kobe and Tiger, but we realized that wasn't abuse of power or manipulation.
What's his name? That Weinstein. There's another.
Weinstein, yep.
Oh,
Epstein, Weinstein,
yeah,
Harvey,
shit,
Weinstein,
right,
for
you know?
sure. Yeah,
The stains.
all the
He,
Steens. Yeah,
I was watching his documentary and, did he use his power to some degree? Well, that's just to pick up chicks. I'm sure he did. But when I was watching that documentary, damn, man, that guy ended up being naked and left alone majority of the time, man. Like,
What do
yeah.
you mean?
always try to get women over, which was probably easy as hell. And then he'd try to, put the moves on them. And then a lot of the times, man, women would just leave. He's trying hard and he's naked and he still wouldn't bite. Some
Is this-
did, obviously.
No, but
Is this,
many did. Many did.
Is
Like
this Weinstein or Epstein?
Weinstein.
Weinstein.
Why-
Harvey
Weinstein-
Weinstein.
Like his whole process is like he's big in the movies, so he's like,
Oh, okay,
I'll
yeah,
get
yeah.
I'll get you roles. You'll have more lines. You'll be in this
I
movie,
think
whatever.
I'm sure that's happened 100%, especially if you're poor starving actor
Oh,
too,
yeah,
got a
of
job,
course.
And
in
the
the
crazy
job.
thing is, again, similar with the Epstein story, is it's not like it's discussed prior. They're told to come to the location, and then
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
a crazy one.
thrown to their face. It's just like,
Yeah,
now all of a sudden this is what's expected of you, and they carry on themselves as if it's normal, like it's normal behavior. This is what everybody does, and so these innocent young, inexperienced like actresses fall for that shit, and then they think it's
it
gonna
happens a
control their
lot. I'm
career,
sure
man.
it does. And like I said, I've always said that I are men and women equal? Yeah, to some degree, but I always think that women need more protection in a way, in a
Hmm.
lot of ways. This is one of them because like if the roles were kind of reversed, I don't think I'd feel sorry for a dude that got duped into sleeping with an old lady. I mean, that's just nah, you know.
Well, see, but is that your tradition kicking in? Is that like fair, or
Well,
is that just tradition
no,
kicking in?
I mean it's probably just the guy in me, right? Like I mean, if my buddies, like Joe Rogan even said, if Harvino Weinstein says you got to sleep with me to play Batman, oh fuck, you're sleeping with Batman, buddy. You're sleeping with Harvina. It's different, but yeah, I mean, I think that the abuse of power definitely
But yeah,
falls traditionally on men, and the victims tend to be that I'm reading a lot of the stories. You always hear women's names, and does it happen to men? Probably, but
Yeah,
it's never really
yeah,
used.
yeah.
yeah.
Like it's never
I
used.
was talking to Deji about that earlier, about with the social construct of men, and
Mhm.
like it would be something to brag about rather than something to be ashamed about.
Yeah, maybe our thresholds are different. I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's just innate, Like, is it right or it's wrong? I guess technically beyond the confines of what everyone's trying to say. Yeah, but like I said, it's a different threshold. Is the best way I could sum it up.
I think it
You know?
comes down to like maybe some psychological attachment to the anatomy, because just the act of it,
Yo, I was just thinking about that.
the
I
act of
was
it,
just thinking about that.
I don't know what it is. Like it's like there's like the it appears as if in sex, in intercourse, the male is the
Yeah.
aggressor, right?
Well, yeah.
It
I
appears
mean,
that way. It
it
appears, just by
appears
the
that.
anatomy, and when you look at the kingdom too, like the animal kingdom, like when you look at lions, when you look at
Yeah.
bulls, and
Dogs, yeah.
dogs, in all the animal kingdom, the aggressor, for the most part, is the male during intercourse. Though I'm not saying though that
Yeah.
in the animal kingdom, still a lot of the females have the power to choose the mate. Like they actually like,
Yeah. Like the men have to get that mate.
yeah, they have to
Like
like,
that's why you always see the animals fighting.
yeah,
So
yeah,
attract
puff
that
up their chests, or they
female.
have to
So
fight other
yeah.
males,
Yeah, so
or
it's a give and take, right?
y-
Like there's power too, and
wasn't
in
there like
both ways.
dragonflies where they eat the male after, or something like that?
I think no,
Oh, I
that's
think that's like
mantis.
Black Widow
That's praying mantis.
Praying
Yeah,
mantis, okay, praying
yeah, stuff
mantis,
like
where
that. Yeah,
and
I
Black
mean,
Widow too.
they eat the
you
male
notice,
after they
yeah, if you've
yeah.
noticed though, in the animal kingdom, a lot of the times, um, the female is sometimes the same size, or if not even bigger, because they have by nature have
That's
to
true.
protect their the young. They're the ones that have to
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're young too. Yeah.
have them
yeah,
around. Like the male is just, even though it's a family construct in some of the cases, but it falls on the female.
yeah,
So
the
they're the ones
bears,
actually doing a lot of the fighting
the
to
bears,
protect.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, lionesses.
mama bears are the scary
lions,
ones, yeah.
everything. Yeah, it's just that's the way nature, I guess, in that retrospect, has evolved because, well, yeah, the men drop the seed and well, they do their own thing, I guess, and the women have the female has to do the guardianship.
Yeah, equality.
But you look at humanity, you
Yeah.
know, has that evolved? Has that
Yeah, for
is
so
it
many reasons, I think, like number one laws, I think
right?
you know, humans have the ability to read and write now. So you follow something that's written, which we're the only ones that do it, right? So I'm sure over time, instincts of and natural abilities somewhat diminish because there's a protection of the law, like all that kind of stuff. So
Tradition, yeah.
yeah, like the tradition and all that. So
I mean,
things would have fade
religion. I
away.
think religion's a big part of that too, and that's all written too, right? Like,
Yeah.
it definitely governed. Religion governed my understanding and morality for so many years of my life. Before I
Yeah.
finally realized I could decide for myself. I don't know. Did you guys go through that at all?
Yeah.
Did you just
Yeah.
adopt kind of like what you were taught, or at some point did you
Oh
challenge
yeah,
all
for
of
sure.
that?
Oh,
Like
100%,
very
right?
indoctrinated.
Everything like that stuff definitely starts in the home.
Yeah, but
You
did
grow
you
up.
did you break away from it? Did you did you
Not
did you like
really.
challenge? Did you challenge your foundation, break it down, and rebuild?
Sure. Yeah,
Definitely,
yeah.
yeah,
Like, I mean,
definitely,
yeah,
yeah,
but like, I mean, am I still a Christian Catholic? Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Is it wrong for me to say I would never convert to any other religion? No, I mean, I don't,
Right.
it's just what it is. Trust me, I've said some things about religion to my parents. Are like, don't say that. I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, do you know I'm atheist?
Well, yeah, that's a belief system too. I mean, it's
I didn't.
whatever.
I didn't want it to be. I actually don't like using the term, but based on all of the categorizations, that's the one I match with the most. But I don't necessarily
Sure.
like the fact that I'm labeled that. But that's what I mean, though. Like, born super Catholic, I was a huge advocate. But at some point in my life, I knocked down that foundation. I kind of rebuilt it to be like, okay, well, what do I really
Yeah,
want it to be? What's good for me, and
absolutely.
not just what's good for me, but like, what do I think is morality? How do I
I
define morality?
think that just what you not off. I think everyone is allowed to believe in something, anything, whatever it may be. It's always when you start getting the clashing of someone who's not part of that, and then you see that a lot. Like I have friends of every race and culture, religion, and don't
Hmm.
matter to me if you're a good person. Don't matter to
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
But you see that all the time, right? I think a lot of feuds are really about culture, and culture for a lot of people is religion.
yeah,
A lot of the parts of the world, not necessarily North America, but you look
Oh,
around the
for
world, right?
sure.
Yeah, religion and culture is the law. So,
Especially poorer countries.
oh yeah, I mean that's the only thing they have to hold. That's the one thing they probably hold most sacred,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not even a written rule, but it's just the teachings of whoever it is you follow. And
in the theme of power, then, and like the abuse of power, when religions go out and do missionaries and go to these like poor
yeah,
countries who don't have any kind of like culture yet kind of defined, or at least no doctrine of religion, and then they
yeah,
convert all these people who don't know better.
yeah. I
Do
always
you
think though.
see that as a
Sure.
degree of manipulation? Do you see that as a degree of abuse of power? What do you think? What do you think, Dej?
Uh,
Well, the thing. Okay, so yeah, I grew up Christian. I identify as a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the church I went to when I was living in Toronto as a young kid. Um, they always had a lot of missionary stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
They were always like, hey, we're about to send, these three people to such and such, and they're gonna, spread the word, blah 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 blah. In my head, I'm thinking, because like what we're taught is, this is the gospel. You're supposed to spread the gospel to all the people so everyone can like come to Jesus, right? So in my head, I'm just like, oh well, these people don't know about Jesus. They're gonna go over there to tell them about Jesus, and they have the option to come to Jesus if they want, right? Because that's the thing too. Like people have to choose. It's a choice, right?
Sure.
So is it manipulation? If I could see how someone can make that argument, but that's where I was always like, okay, well, at the end of the day, like for Christians at least, or like what we're taught is like you have to choose to like accept Jesus. Like it's not like a forced thing. However, you do hear stories of colonization and people just saying, "Hey, you're a Christian now," to the indigenous people. So like, there's that
Yeah.
aspect of things too.
Yeah.
So that is definitely like manipulation. But you know,
yeah, like I think back in the day, right? Like societies that was kind of culture, right? There was no, if you lived in certain parts of Europe or a lot of Europe, it was just Christianity, right? And just like if you live in
hmm
the Middle East and well, it's a lot of Muslim there. Africa is kind of divided. There's a lot of Christians and Muslims,
yeah,
and China they have their own, So I think sometimes, especially like that's even going back 100 years ago. or 200 years ago, right? That was kind of how society was structured, was based on that, that belief system.
Mm-hmm.
And North America is a big example of why there's a lot of clashes. But for the most part, I think, like I said, we do get along because we have people coming in from all over the place with different habits, upbringings, and all that. And we still, I think, live in probably the best part of the world, even
Mm-hmm.
though there are some, tense moments, stuff like that. But absolutely, because it'd be kind of weird for, let's say, people like us who live here and then go somewhere else and try to act the way we do here. I don't think that's necessarily
Yeah.
easy, or
Yeah.
especially like if I were to move to China. I don't know, like it'd be tough for
Yeah.
me. Or if I moved to the Middle East, or even somewhere in Africa and stuff like it'd be a challenge because ways are different, definitely.
Yep.
Outside. So would I submit to like a religious idea? Maybe not, but I could see that sometimes if you are in the law of the land, you when in Rome, act like a Roman. They
Mm.
say that shit. So
Yeah.
hard to say.
So what I'm while you guys were discussing that, I was kind of thinking about like the purpose of religion. Like I get why religion was such a successful institution back when technology wasn't where it is now, because like religion answered all of these questions that people had that science couldn't prove, that we didn't have proof of. It's like, why is there a sun there? It's like, oh, where did this world come from? Where did I come from? And religion just kind of gave up this like, or gave out this like almost like a fairy tale kind of explanation that people adopted, and it made them feel safe. It made them feel comfortable with life. But now that science is advanced, now that technology is advanced, do you think at some point we won't need religion anymore?
I don't think I don't think that'll ever happen, just because of how, just the way society, the way the concept of society is run. It's usually either one of two things. It's either by the church or the state, right? And I think those are like the two pillars of like society.
Yeah.
So regardless of how advanced our technology gets, I think there's always going to be some element of like, you know, some like religious activity or
Higher
spirituality for
being,
sure.
right? You need
But
a higher
like,
being.
yeah,
Yeah.
there is going to be that, higher
Yeah,
thing.
but dude, I'm really glad you put it that way. It's like church and state for such a long time were the two like most powerful bodies that govern society.
Hmm.
But you see technology working its way into law, like cybersecurity and like all these things being passed on,
That's
these
true.
bills or whatever in terms of like our freedoms, our rights, and like our privacies. Technology is finding its way in, and we are. And if you even look at it, even like marriage, and even like where religion's starting to get pushed out of law.
Mm.
Like people want separation of church and state. They don't want. Why does marriage have to be recognized by, the law and
That's a good
religion?
one, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's
Interesting.
it
true. That's
people are
true.
slowly pushing religion out of what's governing us, and it's becoming more reliant. I think still government, state government, for law and order, and like that makes sense. But
You
then
say
you
it's like a
have
baseline.
I don't know, like because
Okay.
again, we don't need the explanations of religion. Like, how many people really believe creation story anymore? Some do. I'm not gonna say that
Yeah.
not everybody does
Oh man, there's
anymore,
people
but
that believe the Earth is flat. So I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, still, yeah, there's still flat earthers, man. And so I don't doubt that those people still exist, but I bet you they're declining. I'm gonna say that they're probably declining in popularity, and over time, if science can answer all the things that we didn't know, even afterlife, even
Mm.
we figure out Big Bang or not, if it's legit, then
Yeah, I mean, like once we get there, like that's an uncharted territory, because I don't know what's gonna happen. Like
yeah.
that That would
Yeah.
be
When
that would
you
be the new that would be a new world.
when you
Like you know that book?
disprove the top, yeah, Brave New World,
Yeah.
yeah, when you
Great book, man.
disprove the top 5 religions or something, and it's like, yeah,
Well, that's the toughest thing, right? Because like the way we rationally think with technology, it's not like that in the majority of the world.
yeah,
Would you agree
Yeah.
with that? Like, I mean, there's
That's when
7
that's
billion
why though.
people on here. Yeah,
That's why it's
and
so
then if you
easy
think about
still
some of these
for
other places,
well, that's why missionaries, if you think about it, missionaries don't try to go to some advanced civilization, they go to some primitive one because those are the ones they can manipulate to convert.
or enlighten.
Huh? Yeah, enlighten's a good word too. But
Yeah,
then
I
Yeah.
mean,
science is also enlightening us too.
like I
And
think
science
that
is causing us to enlighten away from religion too.
I think science is one of those things uh, that, like you said, can disprove a lot of things. But there, for sure, like Jed said, there are some things that we still can't, you know, prove with science. And the best answer would be, the higher being, and people will probably believe that as you know, a reason to move, strive on, or something like that. It gives you hope and all that stuff too.
That's the purpose, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well,
Yeah.
is there an afterlife? The whole afterlife question is basically dictates a lot of which direction someone chooses to go. If you are uncomfortable with your life ending when you die, like your existence, if you're uncomfortable with your existence, ending when you physically die, then yes, you're gonna adopt an afterlife kind of mentality. You're gonna want like a soul. You're gonna want, like heaven and hell or whatever. That makes
And
sense
that
to
that
people
kind
who
of
can, yeah,
thinking's been around for, well, fuck, thousands of years, right? That
yeah,
afterlife, not only
ex-
just Christianity, right? But you always hear about, like, I'm a big ancient Egyptian buff,
Reincarnation.
right? So
Hmm.
and well, reincarnation they don't believe it. Just like
that's a different one,
uh
yeah.
yeah, that's a different
Hmm.
one. And same with Jews, they don't believe in heaven either. I didn't know. I just found that out just recently.
Oh
What?
really?
Wait, what?
Oh.
They don't believe in heaven. Like they don't. Yeah.
Oh
If you
what?
ever look it up, they don't talk about heaven. And I asked my ex-girlfriend who converted to Judaism. Yeah, they don't. There is a form up, but they don't talk about heaven because you never heard that. If you,
So what happens when
I
they
can't even
die?
think of it. I don't know. That's the
Oh,
weirdest thing. But you always hear about, like,
Oh.
isn't it weird now you think about it? You never hear about heaven when it comes to Judaism.
it's
Or
true.
where they go. I don't. Yeah, and I was like, that's true. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Oh, I
I
should
never
look
really
into
dwell
that.
on it. Yeah,
I'm
but now that you
curious.
think about it,
Yeah.
it's just like you never hear about heaven.
It's always so. It's still definitely always in the eyes of God, and like,
Yeah.
doing things in on behalf of like what you learn from God. But yeah, you're right. There's no like any discussion about afterlife.
Do you think that this whole, I'm just thinking on a tangent here, like way off bait, just because I was watching another documentary. But do you think it's no proof of this? But do you think even some of the stuff that humans sorting out could have been given to us by something else, not even from this world?
You mean like Prometheus?
Well, maybe. Yeah, you never know. Like you never know. Like, I mean, is that possible?
Oh
That's
yeah,
it.
I think
I
so.
mean, is it possible? Like, if someone were to land here on this planet 10,000 years ago, how would you even explain that and
Yeah.
hold proof that that ever happened? Like, you never know.
Hmm.
But you look at some
Well,
of the old ancient stuff, man. It's mind
10,000. Well,
boggling.
it's got to be further than that because evolution. There's like proof of evolution. So
Well, evolution is true because we have
yeah,
vestigial organs. But
yeah,
is it possible that something gave humanity a jump start all of a sudden? Like, I don't know. I
yeah.
believe in that. I'm scientific in a way. Like, is it possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. I don't have any proof, but yeah. Like, how the
Yeah.
hell they make the pyramids, man? God damn.
Just
Oh
willpower,
shit.
bro.
I guess
Yo.
so. Like, but that workmanship and that precision and the fact that it still baffles us today, it's like we're really not that bright, or there's somebody out there that stumped us. It's crazy.
Bruh. Hmm. You both you seen Prometheus?
uh, for the most part,
You
I can
seen
remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was years ago now.
that's
I
the one
mean,
with
That movie,
yeah.
Idris Elba was such like he was such a perfect black character. I think he was the only black guy in that movie. He literally said the most like blackest thing in the movie ever because there was a scene where like they got back to the planet and they discovered there was alien life there and everything was going to shit. And then they were trying to get Idris to like come back to the base or whatever and do some shit. And then one of the captains was talking to him. She was like, "Don't you care about this? Don't you care about the start of our civilization and the start of our humanity?" And then the camera just slowly pans to his face, and he's just like, "I don't care." Like, get me off this fucking planet. Like, holy, too much science.
Yeah, finding the
don't
answer.
care.
I don't know if the answer is going to lead me to ever like risk my safety
Yeah,
to find
nope.
out an answer. You know, I
Nope.
don't think so.
Fuck that.
I'd rather
Yeah.
not know.
Some people
Ignorance is
are
bliss.
definitely big risk takers in that regard, but me now, I'll let you tell me all about it if you can after you've done it.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm comfortable. I mean, it's interesting how.
Oh, yes, I found the scene. I'm sending it to you, FJ.
Okay, we'll show it on the pod.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the movie where you?
Oh, you know what?
I
I'll
can't
just look it up.
remember.
I can
Is this
pull
the
it
one
up.
where they
Oh, yeah,
find
it's
out
just...
how the aliens were made, or
It's
and then it was from the humans who did it, and in the first place due to those other alien guys. I can't remember. The name
Yeah,
now.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like it was it was a mistake in a way, right? I remember that, like it wasn't intentional, and then those things grew from the other alien race, and that's where it started from. The
Yeah.
xenophobes, or
Yeah. It's called
yeah.
it's called Where the Hell Are You Going, Prometheus on
Where
YouTube.
Okay.
Shit was so funny. Yo, I laughed so hard at the scene. Because, like, everything was going to shit. And all these people who were white scientists were like, "Oh my God, let's find out more. Let's find out more." And then Idris is just like, "I don't care."
That reminds me of that Cedric Entertainer joke. He's
Right.
like, black people, man, when shit go down, they're out of there. White people, you guys get too curious and you keep walking towards the problem.
I seen that. I remember.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I didn't know. Wait, did you see us running?
Where you going, Doc?
I guarantee you, if one black
You know what
guy
this
starts
place
running,
is?
everyone's going to be like, whoa, okay, and
So,
just start
sir,
running. You white people, you be sitting there
engineers.
going, what's going on?
This ain't their home.
Oh, you're putting it on the stream now? Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
Maybe
Yeah.
even military.
Watch it.
And they put it out here in the middle of nowhere because they're not stupid enough.
Is there
to make
another
weapons of
movie
mass
coming
destruction
out?
on their own doorstep.
I hope so. Yeah, I think there's
That's what
supposed to
all
be
that
another
shit
Ridley
is
Scott
in
movie.
those
Yeah.
Phases.
I kind of
Made
lost
it
track
here.
of that.
It
After
got
Prometheus, what was
There's
the other one?
Alien,
Bound or
Alien,
something? Yeah.
It's time for us to go home.
Alien Resurrection.
One of them is still
Resurrection.
alive.
That
Oh,
one
I've
was scary.
seen-
Oh man,
Yeah.
that one was brutal.
Don't you want to know what they
Oh,
have
what's
to
up with
say?
my internet here?
I don't care.
I don't care.
Oh, did you play it already?
Yeah, it just got there.
All you do is
Oh shit. Hold on, I was trying to log into the thing.
It's alright. It's alright.
Maybe I'll catch it on the delay.
Captain. If you didn't, why are you here?
But yeah, that was funny.
How about this?
So you guys were talking about that Epstein
No matter what
That-
happens down there.
case is now in court finally,
I
eh?
can't
That
bring
girl
all that
or
shit
the
back home with us.
the lady that recruited all the little ladies,
Yeah.
Giselle.
Did you watch Ghislaine?
Yeah,
Ghislaine Maxwell. Her trial
Yeah,
apparently starts this week. That's why.
Yeah,
uh,
he is. It'll be interesting because I personally think she knows a lot of dirt on a lot of powerful people.
Yeah. But why wasn't she hit?
Well, I think they've tried.
Where is she? Is she in some safe
I
house or
don't know.
something?
They
Like,
won't tell nobody now. We'll see where they put Epstein in jail with that big dude. Like, okay,
yeah.
They put him in jail with a big dude. He had a roommate in jail?
yeah, that was, you never saw the picture of the dude.
Oh, come on, man.
my
Come on,
God.
son.
You gotta look at it. Just
Hold
look
on.
up.
Let me just look at it.
Epstein's roommate.
All right, let's look that up. Epstein.
Epstein's roommate.
Cellmate.
He's supposed to be alone, and they put him in with this
Son,
What?
yo.
This guy killed him. Yeah. Like, are you telling me that's not a plant?
What?
No.
That's the roommate they put
No
him in.
way.
Yeah.
Ex-cellmate
killed him.
not welcome in Brooklyn jail. Prosecutors.
Yeah. Like,
What?
that's a plant and a half, man. This guy's already a killer. Doesn't that look too obvious?
Yeah, that's.
Dog.
Yeah. And he killed him.
Bro.
Like,
How you
what the hell? How do you
Oh,
even let
man.
anyone have a room? How would you let him even have a roommate?
come on, son.
I know. I thought he'd be like solitary
just-
confinement or something.
Yeah.
He-
but
oh my God.
obviously there was a plant there because that guy knows a lot of dirt too. So
Yeah.
people want to know. Like, I'm not surprised that he got whacked out.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
The rumors of what's
That's
going on that
nuts, yeah.
island.
Of
Yeah,
course,
and
man. He just knew too many.
he
You know,
was,
and
yeah,
they were
he was,
powerful people. Yeah.
he was in part of a bit part a lifestyle where a lot of powerful people were definitely interested in, and now they don't want to get busted either.
Mhm.
Nope.
So I mean, but that's the whole thing that made it so fishy. Like you just caught this guy after how many years of trying to catch him, and you put him in a roommate. You give him a roommate of that guy.
It's
Yeah.
almost like sometimes when people do this stuff, that's just like it's
Yep.
like, yo, fam, don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. Like, come on, fam.
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's like the shit the politicians do all the time, and like, oh god,
Yeah. I mean, they fumbled that one up. So maybe that, like, obviously that was something that had to be done. And if these people are as powerful as they say they can, then I'm not surprised that happened.
of course. What?
You know, like,
It's like
Like,
okay,
it's
so
like,
why-
what's his face? McAfee guy, the McAfee guy, the security guy.
What? What about it?
He was tweeting like, "Yo, if I'm dead, I didn't commit suicide,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yo,
he
they're
left-
coming for me." And then
Yeah.
he was found hung or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. That was a Pizzagate. That was part of that Pizzagate thing we were talking about too, where this guy was like, he was like documenting a series of his like findings, and he's like, if I am not gonna kill, I am totally fine. Like I my mental health is fine. There is no way where I would kill. And then they found him, the whistleblower guy. A couple weeks later, apparently he jumped off a bridge.
Oh,
Yep.
come on, bro.
Very
Yeah.
convenient, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
What?
that's the
Yeah.
Yo, that's literally like someone abducting you from your apartment and literally just like driving to it and throwing you off, man.
Yeah.
Like, what? 'Cause they can't
Yeah.
even like wait till you're walking by a bridge and push you off. No, they went to get you and then they did that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. He's not like walking by random bridges, you know,
And then someone's like, oh,
I know, it's
and
like,
pushes
yeah,
him off the
shut it
bridge,
down.
dude.
come
Yeah.
on, bro.
Yeah.
That shit, you know, like when you're dealing with powerful people, they don't want to get
So
caught.
so why is it like, I understand, I mean, yeah, this is a podcast, we're just shooting the shit too, but like, do you kind of get like the fact that we've just adopted this and it's okay, like we've accepted it?
I think we've accepted it because we feel, for the
Powerless?
majority, powerless against it. Yeah, it's like, what are you gonna
I mean,
do?
we live in a society where the laws are in place. Like, would I feel bad if someone just blew his head off? No, but that can't happen either.
Like, what if he wasn't killed? What if they actually put him in, you know, the same kind of thing where Ghislaine is kind of in protection or something, because they just knew how powerful or whatever that they break this guy, they can get a lot of information. So if that happened, we would assume that yes, no one of power within like the government, within like law, was in on it. Was one of his customers. We would have to assume that, right?
Mhm.
Or like no one of like stature, like
If he was still alive, oh well, yeah.
like who would
I
it
guess
be? Who would it be? You guys knew the list, right? You guys seen the list? The list is
so.
out
Oh,
there too.
man, it's full of
The manifest there.
dignitaries,
There's like
royals,
Jay
everything,
Z, Beyonce,
you
know,
shit.
yeah,
Bill
Barack,
Clinton,
like
Yeah.
princes and stuff. So it's like,
yeah, and we're talking,
So
dangerous
who-
people too. At the end
yeah,
of the day.
who? Like I'm
Damn,
thinking,
who's who?
you know,
The
it's
only
like
question
mafia
is
maybe,
that-
but even mafia's not that powerful. Are they that powerful?
Maybe to
don't
some
know, man.
degree, but like it's not that they don't have that kind of power.
Not that kind
The
of power.
weirdest thing is now is that we all know it's been no secret that fucking island had surveillance and a
Yeah.
fucking server system, and we don't know what's on those things,
Yeah,
right? That's the main thing that they were
and
using.
apparently they were wiped though, right? They weren't they
I
wiped?
don't know if they were wiped. That's
Okay.
I don't.
I thought that's
He
what
looked
they
like
were
the kind of
saying
smart
in
guy
the,
that he would have it there, and then it's fucking duplicating and sent somewhere else.
right? Yeah,
The way he lived, the way
the
he lived.
cloud.
Right?
It's in the cloud.
You know what I mean?
dude.
Like, I don't think you leave everything there in one.
Yeah.
He's not that dumb. He's
Doesn't
made
make
millions not
sense.
doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Maxine is probably the only person that's probably, if anyone would know how to access that shit if they haven't got to it yet or something. Like she's there for a reason, and she's never walking free. We know
Well,
that.
they kind of think that Ghislaine was the mastermind, not Epstein. Like Ghislaine was
possible.
actually the one controlling everything.
Yeah, it's
That
possible.
was a theory.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely possible.
Here's the
But,
thing that kind of bothered me about you. Did you watch the Netflix? Did you watch it, Tom?
No.
Okay, it's 4 episodes on Netflix. I highly recommend it.
Oh,
It's,
on Maxine?
no, on Epstein.
Oh fuck, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'll watch it.
Basically,
Sure, yeah.
all the anyway, the victims that did come out, they all spoke up and gave their accounts and basically explained exactly how everything happened, how everything worked.
Mhm.
And there was some evidence there with the prints and stuff, photographs and whatever.
Oh,
It's dark, man. Like, just I was watching it and I was just like, this is real life. Like, this isn't a movie, right? And that's the only thing that not obviously not the only thing that bothered me, but what bothered me the most is the fact that in a movie we see it happening. We see it as the audience. We see the evil happening, and then we have this like conscience nature to want it to be prosecuted. We want them to be caught, right? Like, we want the bad guy to lose, and that's what happens in a movie. But throughout this whole special or whatever, we never see that. We only get the statements of the victims. We get some manifests, and we get some photographs. Some photographs of just who was there, not photographs of like the assault, not videos of the assault, like the action. It's everything's kind of like situational. Why were they there, and and how long were they there? Apparently, this one woman tried to escape the island, and like was gone for like she was like running away from the island, was trying to get to the shore to get like on a boat. They caught her before she could.
how would you
But
think she'd get away?
you're desperate, dude. Like, what else can you
Yes,
do?
though,
Like,
yeah, you're right. But still,
you're gonna try, I guess, right? Otherwise, you're just stuck in that loop. You're just stuck in that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what bothered me about it.
See,
Man.
the weirdest thing about this is that what is there like 7 girls or ladies or something like that
Mm.
that are
There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, don't you think that all of them could already compile a list of who they've seen there?
But then you have the accounts of these, like I'm only saying like these nobody women from poor, like
Yeah.
slums,
But that's what I'm saying.
against
Like,
the word of these powerful, rich,
Yeah.
like celebrity type.
But since they're going full out, like I can only imagine the names they've compiled because obviously they're going to use their testimony somewhere. And
Dude, there was this one girl who.
these women are never going to live free lives either.
Oh well,
That's-
yeah,
That's
no.
that's
Oh,
the
yeah,
that's
that's
the
dumb.
scary part. Because let's say they do their civic duty. These women, I think, are dead people walking.
Well,
Bro.
In a way.
even if they do this, like, that's assuming though it's gonna get somewhere. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they have to throw it out of court with Maxine.
if you think
first.
about it right now, like if any of them are in fact murdered or killed, then whoever they said to this point is in danger. If they leave them, then no one believes them. There's the
Yeah.
defense is stronger if you leave them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any
don't have any
actual
weight, right?
yeah,
What
they
you're
don't
saying.
have any strength in their
At least
statement.
right now they don't.
Yeah. Well, because they don't have any proof.
Well, yeah. A lot of
Epstein
it is
had-
allegedly.
You think, Epstein's statement, because he's the one who's being accused, but two,
Yeah.
you like you said, it could be on the cloud somewhere, or it could be backed up in some server and,
Yeah.
somewhere. So,
Yeah. Because if the way I look at it, if everything was burned or destroyed, then they wouldn't have much of a case already.
yeah.
So
But-
they've still got something, but it'll be interesting.
Dude, watch the
Yeah.
watch the Netflix thing. There's this one example I'll just say where this girl, I was telling Deji earlier, claimed like her statement was this prince like assaulted her, and like Epstein set up this girl to meet with this prince. So this
Do you
was
see
just
her face.
this was a statement. Yeah, you see her,
Oh wow.
but you the prince obviously is
Is this
accused.
the Duke guy? The
The
Duke of
Duke,
Earl,
yeah,
whatever?
maybe that guy.
I
Prince,
mean,
was it that guy? Yeah, Prince Andrew.
Prince
Maybe it was
Andrew?
that guy. Yeah, and then he's like, I've never seen this girl before. We've never met.
and then the picture of
And
them
then
two,
there's a photograph holding each
Yes!
other, dude. And it was
Yeah!
like, oh
right beside each
man,
other. Like,
yeah.
she's only
And no,
15.
yeah, she was 15, and his hand was not where it should have been. You know, like it was like,
Oh
Yeah.
shit!
yeah, dude, like that kind of shit. It was.
Like,
it was-
common
Oh,
sense
man.
says there, you're there for one thing, and that girl is there for another reason, and
Yeah.
I mean, we can't prove it, but my gut tells
That's
me.
crazy,
You
yo.
know, yeah, I saw that. The blonde, the skinny blonde.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never seen this woman.
That's why they told him that royal family. Yes, you gotta protect your family, but they told him not to do that fucking interview with 60 Minutes or something like that. And he goes, "No, I don't know that girl." Then, boom, they throw out that picture. Like, oh, really?
Did they show it to him on the interview?
Something like that. Like, yeah, they
Oh,
I'll
shit.
send you the link. I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Dude. Here,
The
I'll
queen
my
told
God,
him.
yeah.
The queen told him, "Don't do it," but he's a grown man too, so I don't know.
there, that's
Dude, that whole family is just nuts.
that's the photo, and it's like it's yeah, and that's at their home. That's at Epstein's home, I think, right?
Yeah, that's the island.
Yeah, that's the
That's the
island.
island.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that thing was a fortified base of everything. That guy
Who
had
is that?
technology.
Who is that
Like,
beside
I
her?
mean,
Is that
even
Ghislaine?
Bill Gates did shit with
Ghislaine
this
on
guy.
the far right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Ghislaine. Yeah.
Damn, yo, that's
And the
crazy.
kinda
the
hot
headline
guy.
here is Jeffrey Epstein
I've never
accuser.
seen-
What's that?
I've never seen her.
Ghislaine?
No, it's the quote he said. I've never seen this woman at
Yeah.
all in
Oh,
my
no, yeah.
life.
Yeah. Well, and
Oh.
look, so accuser denies claims photo with Prince Andrew was faked. So they were saying like, oh, it was photoshopped or it was whatever. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, he didn't know that picture existed. Apparently.
yeah.
Photoshop. Yo,
No,
that's not a Photoshop.
Yeah, man. Here, I sent
That's
you a
your
better
big
one
ass
with,
hand.
with Ghislaine actually showing better there. See?
That's
But
not
yeah.
Photoshop. No way.
I'm just shocked that they let people take pictures on that fucking island.
Yeah, like what?
You know what I mean? There should be like a rule. Everyone put your cell phones in the fucking thing, just like in the grotto. Cell phones go in the fucking basket before you enter the grotto. That's it.
So
Wow.
okay, to wrap.
I
let's-
was gonna say just real
Yeah.
quick. I wonder what the percentage would be of men that do this that come from a background of not really having any money of power and then come into a position where they have a lot of money of power. I wonder if you find that there's a higher percentage of men that do that have that as a background versus men that have a lot of money and power and just have always had lots of money and power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
'Cause
know
it's
what you're
like,
saying.
yeah, it's like, oh,
I
I can do
think
this
that-
now, and then they go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you make your money young, but definitely, I think what you were touching up there is like there's a difference between old money and someone who's from old money than someone who is self-made money, right? That's
Yeah.
there's that.
The
It's
new
a
money.
different
Yeah.
mentality too,
Okay.
right? Like the prince,
Oh, okay.
the prince and all that. They don't really care about losing money, but the guy who made it thinks a little different because he had to earn it, so he knows what he had to do.
Yeah.
So there's a little
Yeah.
bit of a difference, But yeah.
Well, the one thing with the old money, like royalty money or something like that, where you didn't have to work for it, it's just then you have this there's more of an entitlement.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh well, I have access to this because I am this. I am above others. I am above. Whereas
You've
the
been
come
around it
up,
your whole life.
the person coming up is might just be more so like vengeful, maybe from like from
yeah.
where their
Incels.
origin is. Yeah.
Incels.
Yep.
Oh,
Yo,
so-
do you
yeah.
know? Do you know the origin of that term actually came from a girl?
In celibates.
It was
Yeah.
in celibate. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean it came from a girl?
It came from a girl. She started like a random like college blog that just had to do with people who hadn't been in a relationship for a long time and people who were just like were still like virgins or whatever, or just hadn't like had a lot of sexual partners. So it never had anything to do with men who were like vengeful against women for not talking to them or whatever. It was just literally like everyone. And then a group of men took that and manipulated it
Radicalized
into what it is today.
Oh,
So,
men
Yeah,
are the one who made it derogatory.
Yeah, incels was supposed to be a neutral thing, and she put up
Yeah,
like so many posts just being like, "Yo, I'm so sorry that warped into whatever it is now, but that was not
yeah,
my intent when I made that up."
yeah.
Sometimes that happens with a lot of ideologies, right? There's
Yep.
one splinter group or something that really does something with it differently, but has the same mind frame that they're doing it for that cause. I guess
Yeah.
what they call it, the radical versions of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. ISIS used to be a beautiful goddess. Now it's a
Yeah,
terrorist group.
Egyptian
Oh
goddess, man.
yeah,
Fuck
that's true
yeah.
too, man. No one.
Like,
ISIS.
As soon as you said the word too, I was like, oh, I know you're talking about the bad one.
yeah.
And then like, oh, you made a
Like
reference to the real original.
before, like in rap music, people used to always like, "Yo, she looked like ISIS, whatever, whatever." Now
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
like, fucking, they're killing people and beheading them.
You can't
Yeah,
call
it's
them
a
ISIS
different term.
anymore.
Yeah. It's an acronym, but yeah, it's stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, I think it's good discussion. To wrap it up, what are we trying to get out of, like, what message do we want to send out there in terms of? I mean, it's obvious, don't abuse power. Like, just because you acquire power doesn't mean that you can manipulate
In the
others.
words of Uncle Ben,
Yeah.
with
I
great
mean,
power comes great responsibility.
bloody, yeah.
It's that simple, yo. Like, and do
I
unto
think
others, yo.
power is, there's going to be naturally people who have whatever power is,
Yeah,
and there's people that will seek it, and there's people that will definitely want to be around it. So, I guess at the end of the day, is you're gonna have to make those decisions yourself, and even though it's hard to do, even if you get yourself in the wrong situation, you still got to own that decision.
I think I'd want to say, if anyone out there finds himself in the situation of like any of these victims,
Hmm.
you know, I mean, I can't begin to imagine like how you get there, like how you just find yourself in a situation where you are
Yeah.
in that position. But let's say somehow you get manipulated and you fall for whatever it is that gets you to that point now where you feel like there is no return. All I want to say is there is no such thing as the point of no return. I would want this to be a message of like empowerment, to like, you can take the power away from those who flaunt the power on you, and you can just, don't be afraid of what might come. Like, your safety comes first, like your life comes first and stuff. Like, I'm trying to say something kind of empowering, but I don't know. I just wish shit like that didn't exist, and
Word.
and this is just the tip of the iceberg too, because we don't even know what the elites are up to up there,
Bruh.
so
All kinds of shit.
We're not privy to
They
that.
all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
My other advice too to anyone watching is, whatever you do, and FJ, I'm about to send you this picture. Don't take this motherfucker's advice, please, because he will get you
show
killed.
this. I'm gonna show
Yeah.
this on. Okay.
Yeah, he will get you killed. Do not take his advice. I'm sure you
Alright,
guys have seen this guy's video.
This is the example.
This dude
McDojo
has been.
breakdown.
Oh no.
Dusty
You seen
threat
this guy?
management.
You seen
No.
this dude?
Is that when he's
He's
like
been in videos like all around the internet, just giving fake advice on how to like stop
disarm
people, that try
people
to
and
shoot
stuff?
you.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of those. There's been a lot of
Oh
those.
my
Yeah,
god, this guy is a fucking
Yeah,
put him
no,
in jail.
I will say, just that as you're, finishing off, is that for sure,
Yeah.
for anyone that's listening, if something is wrong, tell somebody.
Yeah.
I think, I know it's hard to do, and there's a lot of factors that come into play why you don't tell people, but I encourage you, tell somebody.
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
The best thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah.
To tell
It's
somebody.
the burden should never be on your shoulders alone. And if you find yourself in that situation, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
again,
man.
just there's never a point where you can't turn back.
Yeah.
Like when I look at the Epstein and the Weinstein examples, where it's just thrust upon them, no pun intended, but just like all of a sudden they're faced with this scenario that they just weren't prepared for. And you're right, Tom, you mentioned it. probably a lot of those women just walked away. And in the same sense too, like it's the manipulation's even bigger with Epstein, because they were underage, they were poor, and like there was this like need, you know, as if it was part of their survival and it was just part of the process. And you know, I hope, you know, I don't know, I just it's tragic, and I would hate for it to exist still anywhere in the world right now.
The tragicer part is it definitely does.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for coming out tonight and talking about a pretty heavy topic. We'll see you guys again next week, Thursday, 10 p.m. again for our next BrackCast. If you like the video, click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when we're on again. And yeah, see you next week, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace out.